the College Football Super League. Is it real? And I so many people yesterday, after we reported this story, flung this Ross Dellinger tweet at me yesterday about Ross pronouncing the College Football Super League dead.
Back in April.
This was April 5th. If they were interested, they would have not signed the college football playoff deal. The proposal died, at least for now, when the college football playoff was executed. Turns out that's not the case. And as we've talked about on this show for months and months now, it won't be the SEC or the Big Ten that makes that decision. It will be ESPN and ABC. Because as we've told you, and in talking to high-level TV sources yesterday, ESPN and ABC and Disney are 100% on board. These are all people that know each other. We told you Smash Cap yesterday is the funding arm of this idea, and the one floating this proposal, Project Rudy, as they are calling it, that would put 70 teams into a super league. And the biggest question has been, what will it take to get this done? It is going to take a financial model that makes the power players in college football, mainly the Big Ten and the SEC, but ESPN and ABC, more money, that brings specifically more revenue to the streaming platforms, because that's where we are all going. And I would remind you that ESPN is launching DTC, direct to consumer, which two separate TV sources yesterday told me is the primary focus of their business models, starting really in September and launching about a week ago now into what's called Q4, fourth quarter of 2024. They are now fully ramping up to go direct to consumer by kickoff of next football season. That's what's going to determine this. And by all accounts, there is favorability, there is positivity, there is momentum to make this plan happen. And it is, what's the right way to say it? Curried favor. This plan has curried favor amongst executives in college football. And the biggest single question is, if it's a $9 billion cash infusion, which means private money is going to inject $9 billion into college football, how much are they expecting to get back? And how much is a college football super league worth? That is the single biggest question. Because if the NFL is worth $7 billion a year in profit, how much is a college football super league worth? And my guess is it's about 70% of what an NFL model is worth. So you're looking at $5 billion a year. That's a winning formula. If the College Football Super League creates a $5 billion revenue stream within a decade, which most people believe that it can, you're going to be making your money back hand over fist on that $9 billion investment. And again, I'll say what I've said, Jake, for the last year and a half. A College Football Super League makes far too much sense and far too much money for the power brokers not to happen.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it was always, at least as far as we're concerned, an inevitability. I mean, I think generally speaking in our world, if you set sports aside for a second and just think about it, like, if a group of people, or if there's, if the masses believe, hey, if we invest this amount of money, or if we invest $1 and we can make, hundreds back, it's probably going to happen. And that's why I think the Super League has the life that it has. And that's why I think the Super League makes the sense that it does, because you can inject that cash into the sport and it will pay you back handsomely. And I think, there's so many reasons why the sport needs it. And I think those reasons have been pretty evident for quite some time. And so my question with the Super League has always been, why does it garner so much hate? Why do people not want the Super League to happen? Why is it that, guys like Ross back in April were pronouncing this thing dead? Because ultimately things take time. I mean, it's not like this is going to get built overnight, obviously. And, obviously with the timelines with the college football playoff and in those contracts, there was a renewal that needed to happen as far as that's concerned. But what's all the reporting saying now? Well, it's saying exactly what we told you back then, which was, hey, you signed the college football playoff agreement to 2031, and after 2031, the college football super league is probably going to take effect, if not sooner. So I just think that people don't like change in college football. They don't want to say, yeah, you know what, the big dogs are playing on just such a high level right now that it does actually make sense for them to have their own thing, and then the rest of us can kind of figure that out, because that's the sentiment right now. Oh, well, the Super League appeases the haves, but the have-nots are just going to be left to hang. They're just going to be hung out to dry. And what I'm saying is, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's about time the quote-unquote have-nots actually figured out how to do something for themselves, got together like the haves did, and said, you know what? Yeah, we do need our own championship. We do need a way to make more money. And by the way, to get all that done, we have to work together. We got to stop relying on Big Brother. And that's what I think the sport needs, and that's what's taking place. And I think that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, which is why you're getting the sentiment in the reporting that you are.
Well, and I also think the other issue for most people is, I think that if you're a fan of, and let's use the Pac-12 because I think this is the perfect fan base. If you're a fan of the Pac-12, you've gotten beat down once already when this conference melted down. And now what we are told is one of the real pillars and one of the real philosophical differences between those that are in favor of and those that are against the Rudy Project, the College Football Super League, is that this proposal from Smash Cap to the power players in college football would eliminate any possibility of those members of the College Football Super League, the 70 teams proposed to be part of this Super League. It would eliminate any possibility that they would play G5 or non-Super League members. So teams like Oregon State and Washington State have to find a way into the College Football Super League. Teams like Boise State's dreams of a national championship die with the College Football Super League, because it would essentially eliminate the Cinderella story, which I've told you. I even said yesterday, I'm not somebody that is in love with Cinderella and her slippers. I don't buy into the small school, the Colorado States of the world somehow winning a national championship. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the best players smashing their faces into each other for 4 quarters on a Saturday night right before Super Bowl Sunday. I want the college football playoff championship between the Georgia Alabamas of the world, the Ohio State Oregon game this weekend. I want the Titans of college football, who have the best talent, playing in a huge game Saturday night. And then I want the Titans of the National Football League playing in a huge game on Sunday afternoon. I'm here for that. 9 out of 10 garden variety college football fans that are G5, supporters want nothing to do with this idea. And I think it is insecurity, and I think it is fear. But what I ask you now is, if you're a fan of the G5, what really changes? If you are a fan of the G5, if we go to a Super League and you don't play as a G5, you don't play Super League competition, what has really changed for you? If you're Northern Illinois, you've lost the Notre Dame payday. That's what we're really talking about. Do we need Appy State going to Michigan and beating Michigan? Well, I hate Michigan, so yeah, we do, but no, we really don't. I want more Ohio State, Michigan. I want more USC, Michigan. I want more Ohio State, Penn State in a really big game. That's what I think we want. That's what I think we need, because that's what is going to allow college football to thrive. And I think one of the hardest things for people to digest, and I'm not trying to be a red ass about this, and I am not trying to alienate anybody. Is it really good, and does it grow the sport when Appy State goes to Michigan and wins? Does that? I don't believe that it does.
I mean, it's good for like a week.
I don't believe that it does.
It's good for Sports Center.
What grows the sport more? A massive audience for Georgia and Alabama, or nobody watching Appy State, Michigan? And I shouldn't say nobody. 1 million people watching Appalachian State go to Michigan and win one time. And then there are Sports Center top 10 plays and highlights. And I'm telling you, it doesn't grow the sport. And there's no data that says it does. It doesn't make Appy State a better football program in this case. Now, does Oregon State, Oregon? Does Washington State, Washington? Does SC, UCLA? Does BYU, Utah? Does Michigan, Ohio State? Absolutely, it grows the sport. Generationally deep. But does that go away with the Super League? It doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the deniers, or the, as Prime says, the unbelievers of the Super League, probably don't want to talk about, is that they're going to find a way to check all the boxes. Hey, we're going to keep the rivalries. Hey, we're going to make more money. Hey, we're going to have the biggest games. Hey, we're going to change the structure of when we play our championship so it can be on the Saturday before Super Bowl Sunday. Like, all these things are going to get done. And, I just think, like, college football is unique in the fact that people really cherish the feel and the vibe of small town USA playing their college football, and kid from Nowhereville, playing 4 years and making it on the league and special teams. And like that's what a lot of people in college football love. And I can appreciate that. And frankly, I don't think that's changing. I still think that, I don't think people appreciate how much NFL talent comes from the G5.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that yes, does Alabama put the most first round picks in the league? Sure. But does that mean that the G5 has no impact on what the NFL is doing? Well, no, of course not. And so for that reason, I still think that the G5 has a role to play in college football, but that role is definitively not playing Alabama for a meaningless paycheck. That's not what we're doing anymore. And I think that's the part that people really need to start to accept and move with, is that it's cool. Like, we're here now, but the big guys are always looking to move forward. And that's what this is all about.
And I just don't think that there's any reason to believe that the G5 can't thrive because a Super League exists. I just don't think that's the case. I think you have to create a scenario where the G5, and really, let's put it in blunt terms, anybody not in the Super League still has a championship to compete for, because you're not competing for the college football playoff right now. Boise State and anybody else essentially in the Pac-12 has no chance today to win a national championship. You're just not in that conversation. And I understand that the highest ranked G5 champion gets an auto bid, and I'm down with that. How many teams in this country can actually say we're competing for a college football playoff? And I would tell you, not a single one in the G5. Not a single one. And I know that this constantly causes consternation with G5 fan bases, with Pac-12 fans, I understand that. That doesn't make it so. Just because you don't like it doesn't make it reality.
Right.
And I think when you look at this situation with the Pac-12, I think it is the perfect example of building a quality league that can still make money and still allow you to compete at a very high level. I think the biggest question I have is, if there is a Super League, are Oregon State and Washington State in the Super League? I don't know the answer to that question.
I think they're very borderline, and I think it comes down to what they're willing to pay. I mean, this brings me right back to, hey, Kirk Schultz in his prime at Washington State, ran that athletic department into the ground. And you're in a lot of debt. You're running at a massive loss. And I understand most athletic programs, run at a loss. Like, we all know that, but there's a difference of like a 5% loss every year and like a 50% loss every year. There's a difference there. And I think, schools like Washington State and Oregon State are, I would think, borderline teams. And I think it comes down to what we've talked about before. It comes down to your willingness to to say, yeah, you know what, I am going to sign on the dotted line and I am good absorbing this cost because I know that it's going to put us in a better spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are going to have to suffer the pain of the finances. And it's this whole dynamic where it's like, hey, you're like literally it's one of two things. You're either going to suffer the pain of not being included in the Super League because you were unwilling to pay the cost associated with that, or you're going to suffer the pain of paying the cost, but you're going to enjoy the riches, if you will. And I think that's right there is the kind of line in the sand moment that every school in the G5 is going to have to go through.
Yeah, I'm very curious who opts out. That's what I am fascinated by this opt out.
But that's why I think
ability
Washington
with this
State
NIL
would be
lawsuit.
an opt out school, right? I mean, how does a school like Washington State or frankly any of these schools in this reimagined wannabe conference as known as the Pac-12?
Why do you have so much hate for the Pac-12?
Because you're not anything right now. You're nothing. You don't have a TV deal. You don't have scheduling. You don't okay, you've got a group of schools that said, yeah, in 2 years we'll call ourselves a conference. But you're still no TV deal, no scheduling. You're not legitimized yet. We haven't played a single down of Pac-12 football yet. Like that hasn't happened in this new setup, and I'm not buying it until that we see that happen. And
I think that's a really interesting. I think
people just take for granted that this conference is going to come all the way back. I agree. Yes, they've done a good job to this point. Yes. Okay, you've done a good job. But when we're talking about the Super League and if the Pac-12 and teams inside the Pac-12 right now would be included, I think Oregon State would be the only one because I don't think Washington State can financially do it. I don't think they're in a position to do it.
I think you could figure it out. I think it's just a lot of money. And I think when you look at the Rolovich lawsuit and you look at the financial dynamics at play in the Washington State community and the Washington State system, yeah, I agree. It would be very difficult. I think it'd be very difficult. And I don't know. I don't know how all of that. I don't know how all that plays out, frankly.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think Washington State is one of those universities who could potentially opt out, but I think the opt-out in this college football playoff scenario, I think is very interesting. I think it is one of those things where you have to figure out how do we justify hundreds of millions of dollars in expanding our athletic budget. That's a huge question. And I'm sure in the comments section that you guys are probably getting into this whole thing about antitrust, and antitrust is not a thing here. You look at fans who are always going to say, I won't watch. I'll never watch college football again. You will. I'll never buy jersey. You will. You will. I won't. You will. Like, you can sit here and tell me you're not going to watch your team. You will. If your team is competing for a G5 championship, you're not going to go and support them and watch it? Yes, you will. Yes, you are. You're not the idiot from Oregon State talking about burning your diploma that you paid tens of thousands of dollars for over a football game. I think the biggest issues right now for fans getting on board with the Rudy Project, I think the single biggest issue is getting over another loss if you are Oregon State and Washington State. And if I'm Scott Barnes, the athletic director at Oregon State, I have to believe he finds a way in. I think they would absolutely opt in.
Yeah.
I think he has stated from day one, Scott Barnes at Oregon State, we are going to put our athletes in a position to compete at the very highest level of sport. And if the Rudy League is that, or the Rudy Project is that, they're going to be there. I just don't think that it is, you're just not going to ever convince me that fans boycott anything. You're still watching the NFL.
Yeah.
You're still watching Tua get concussions. You know what football did in Kansas City.
Because it's what we do, man. Like, it's our culture. It's our livelihood, bro. Like, so when you want to say, oh, well, I'm not going to do this or I'm going to boycott that, like, come on, bro. Like, don't waste our time with you're going to boycott something. Waste our time with, hey, I hate the Super League because.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like that would be better.
Yeah, I think it's really good for the sport.
Yeah.
And I think that I know that I get called a heel for this, but I like big matchups. I don't hate small towns. I live in Salt Lake City, which is a small town. And I think, it's really interesting. The Utah Hockey Club debuted last night against the Blackhawks, who didn't really show up. Thanks for coming, boys. I think it's fascinating that people in Utah want to be known as a pro sports town, and we're simply not. But I think that's what fan bases across the country are. Oh man, I'm Boise State. I'm a fan of Boise State. We're a big time football program. You're not.
No.
It's UNLV. We're a big time football. We're a pro sports town. No, you're really not.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like,
You're not.
I think as fans, like, we just see like what's in front of us, like what's directly like right in front of our face, and we want to say things like Boise State's a good example. Hey, like, man, we got the Heisman Trophy, the best, the front leaning Heisman guy right now this year. Like, we're a big time football program. I would agree, you've got a quality football program as far as the Group of Five is concerned. Ashton Ginty isn't doing a damn thing against Alabama or Georgia in the Super League.
And I don't even know if that's true. But my point is, you can't play an Alabama-Georgia game.
No.
Because the simple truth is, the best players in the country don't want to go to Boise. They don't want to go to Washington State. They don't. They want to play.
But is it too strong to say they shouldn't have to?
Well, I don't have to, want to. We're in a system now where it's the players control the system. The players can do what they want. And what I'm telling you is, as much love as I have for UNLV, and I love Las Vegas, I love Nevada. You are not competing at UNLV. The problem is that you're not competing with the Raiders. You're not competing with, let alone Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the ability and to scale. And really, this is not my idea. This was brought up to me yesterday by a college football administrator. Do you understand the time and money it takes to scale to be an Alabama type football program? If you're a G5, and ask yourself this in Boise and Las Vegas, UNLV and Boise are two really good examples of this. Can you imagine your university spending the money, hiring the humans, building the facilities, and reallocating educational funds just into upper echelon football? The quadrupling down that it would take just to recruit at the level at Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State. Look at the budget Ohio State expends, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Can you imagine Boise spending that money? I've got a brand like Albertsons as a near and dear partner. So when I sit here and we talk about Spokane, Washington, Colorado Springs, Colorado, I don't know how you would ever even contemplate competing at the upper echelon of the Super League. I have no idea.
Yeah.
The money that it takes just to get into the conversation is, what number would you put out? If you're UNLV, how much more money? There aren't enough casinos in Las Vegas to scale. How many years would it take UNLV to scale to be competitive with Ohio State?
Well, I think, dude, I think if like, and I'm being dead serious, if you had casino money, yeah, I think it would take probably 5 years. Like, if you had $200-300 million a year that you had access to spend, not just on recruiting, but like facilities, events, like basically just upgrading the, like, kind of like building your snowball kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're here now and we're going to spend, that snowball gets a little bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. I think it'd probably take like 3 to 5 years. I do. It takes time. You got to build things. You got to win football games. You got to go out and learn how to recruit the highest level. like there's a lot involved with it.
And I want to get into the comments section, but I have a feeling it's going to be one of those mornings. Just glancing at Phil Benzer seems very angry this morning. Let me just, and Phil's a UNLV supporter. So contemplate this. Okay, so all that money, resources, time, humanity to scale just to get to the Super League. Do you guys understand that Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, they're already at that level. They don't have to spend a penny to scale.
Yeah.
They're just cashing
checks. What they do.
This is who they are already. They're just cashing. You're a decade at least behind them. You're a decade behind them. And so I ask you, if you're a fan of a G5 team, why would you want to compete at that level?
Yeah, and why compete at that level when you can put something together at your current level that makes a lot more financial sense?
Yeah, I agree. All right. The Monty Show, as always, is presented by our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. I'm gonna start driving this home right here again. This is the Advocates Venmo account, Advocates donations. We are 2.5 weeks away. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. We're 2.5 weeks away from Halloween.
Yeah.
You're
not alone, dude. It's a time warp.
That's wild.
It's a time warp, bro.
It is a time warp.
Like legit. It was, I remember talking about week 0 and hey, the league is kicking off and Aaron Rodgers didn't want to play in a preseason NFL game. And, we were just talking about that 5 minutes ago.
Oh, God. I just got a calendar invite from the wife.
Wait, okay, what is that for?
So you guys know that sunset is like 3:30 in the afternoon now?
Yeah.
So we're not playing golf on Friday night anymore because sunset is
legit.
Literally,
it's like in the 6 o'clock
6
hour.
o'clock.
Yeah.
I just got hey, let's go see Beetlejuice in IMAX. And not do you want to? Because
Beetlejuice, dude, come on. Don't be a heel about this.
I'm
Beetlejuice
not.
is fun.
It just golf is coming. Golf season's coming to an end in Utah, and it's very troubling to me.
Yeah.
All right. Focus. Squirrel. 2.5 weeks from right now, we are looking at Halloween. And the advocates are raising money to give homeless kids Halloween costumes. And so in lieu of giving, because you guys have been amazing in giving memberships, you guys have been amazing in super chats. Here's what I ask you. Hit them on Venmo right now. Send a DM to Jake that shows you made a donation. And just say Monty Halloween or Halloween for the kids or whatever. On Venmo right here. Advocates donations on Venmo. We'll give away a $25 Amazon gift card today. We'll do another one on Friday. Because I think it's really important that we give kids normalcy. And I would ask you, please, if you have $5, if you have $20, if you have $100, get on Venmo, send it to the advocates. They're going to give that money directly to the Road Home, who is one of the foremost homeless advocacy groups, especially for kids. Look how much money we raised for back to school, backpacks, clothing, basic essentials. You guys did a great job. We're getting into a season now where, yes, we're going to ask you for donations, because giving kids things like Halloween costumes, when you go to school and everybody else has a costume and you do not, think about what that feels like. Let's help kids enjoy Halloween. Make a donation, advocates donations, and then find Jake on Instagram, SLC Jake on Instagram. Send him a DM with a screenshot of your Venmo, and we'll give away a $25 Amazon gift card coming up in 2 hours from right now at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. We'll give away a $25 Amazon gift card, and it's Amazon Prime Deal Days today.
Yes.
Yesterday and today. Golf balls are on sale.
Do it.
So make a donation to the advocates on Venmo. Send Jake a DM, and we'll enter you to win a $25 Amazon gift card. The Monty Show, as always, presented by the advocates at theadvocates.com. Aaron Wilson gifts a Monty Show membership. Thank you, Aaron. Hope you have a great day on the mail route today. Aaron is a mailman, a mail carrier, a letter carrier in Lubbock, Texas. So we appreciate that. All right, let's get into the comments section. I'm scared. I am scared. The eye patch. More Pac-12 talk. Well, at least the ACC FSU talk has vanished.
Yeah, well, why did it vanish, dude? Because, yeah, that's right. The situation vanished because they decided it wasn't worth their time to continue.
Thomas Reed, the G5 schools that could pull Cinderella upsets with title hopes are now in the Power Four. So the group of 5 schools just need to form their own Super League.
Yeah.
Well, I think you have to form a playoff system that rewards people for winning games. I think that's very important. Very, very important. But hey, that's just me. Hoffman. That has nothing to do with football, Ron. Yeah, Ron Loney, I don't get it. I don't get it. You were filtered by YouTube once already today, so I would just ask you to measure yourself. I just would, yeah, I don't understand what politics has to do with this, but yeah, please. That time of the month, Jake, it's going to be that way. And Donuts, good morning. NIL lawsuits brought by the 9th District liberal judges. Okay.
Why are we
What does
complicating
liberal or
this, bro?
conservative have to do with anything?
Like, we're talking about college football, man.
Yes. I don't know what one has to do with the other, but okay. Make 2K the ride share way.
Okay.
Okay. Jerry Jones figured out a long time ago that Dallas does have to win a Super Bowl. Does not have to win a Super Bowl. They just have to be in the playoff race on the last week of the regular season. Eliminating the G5 kills hope and numbers. I don't think it kills hope because I guess the harsh reality is, and you guys tell me in the comment section if I'm wrong. I don't believe G5 teams have a realistic opportunity to compete for a national championship. Frankly, I don't think the Big 12 and the ACC have a realistic chance to compete for a national championship. They have more of a chance because they're guaranteed to have members in. But you look at the Big 10 in the SEC meetings today that are taking place, where, and I think it's important to note, the Big 12 and the ACC will have people at those meetings. And I am told that this Super League proposal is being talked about at length. So you look at this meeting today. This is the power players in college football. Boise State will be there, right? Oh, wait, they won't. You don't have a seat at the table. And I think if you're a G5 fan, you need to come to terms with that.
Right.
You need to come to terms with that. And I understand on some levels that sucks, but